At this point, we received a call, multiple calls at 5:30 p.m. from the area of Old Greenwich Circle, which is in Spotsylvania County, in reference to multiple shots that were fired. Upon deputies' arrival, they found multiple gunshot victims. 3 of the victims were confirmed deceased on scene. 3 other victims were transported to local hospitals. It is still a very fluid scene. Multiple investigators are still there trying to determine who the suspects were and what the motive is. At this point in time, I don't know that we have any suspects in custody. So we're asking the public to please stay clear of the area, let the investigators do their job, and stay inside their homes. At this point, because we do not have anybody in custody, it is still considered an active shooter situation.
So the summer season is here, and India's national capital, Delhi, is experiencing some pretty scorching temperatures. The temperatures are expected to soar to over 42 degrees Celsius by the 10th of April. The Indian Meteorological Department has forecast a very severe heat wave across the northern part of India in the coming days, which will drive up the mercury levels across the region. Now, the capital is expected to witness mainly clear skies with humidity levels peaking at about 45%. A hotter day lies ahead with minimum and maximum temperatures forecast at 23 degrees Celsius and 40 degrees Celsius. The IMD has predicted some clear skies until the 9th of April, with maximum temperatures gradually rising to 41 degrees Celsius and peaking at 42 degrees by the middle of the week. The partly cloudy conditions are also expected on the 10th and the 11th of April. Delhi is expected to face even hotter conditions on Wednesday, with temperatures likely to rise further. The minimum and the maximum temperatures are forecast at 21 degrees Celsius and 41 degrees Celsius respectively. A yellow alert for heatwave conditions remains in place on the 9th of April. The IMD uses a color-coded system to issue heatwave alerts. The color indicating the severity of the heatwave and the actions required. Now, yellow is to be aware, orange is to be prepared, and red is to take action. Delhi has experienced its very first heat wave of the season on Monday, with the maximum temperature touching 40.2 degrees Celsius. With temperatures rising and heat wave-like conditions persisting, the government has urged residents to take precautions and to avoid heat-related illnesses such as heat stroke. Meanwhile, a fresh western disturbance is likely to affect the western Himalayan region from the 8th of April. Although this may bring brief respite to parts of northern India, Delhi and the surrounding NCR region are expected to see little change, with heat wave-like conditions that are expected to persist. And our correspondent Jyotsna Kumar has sent us this report. Listen in.
A searing heat wave is sweeping large parts of western and central India, with Barmer in Rajasthan recording a scorching 46.4 degrees Celsius. The weather department has issued a heat wave warning for Delhi and its adjoining areas today. However, weather department has said that prevailing heat wave conditions over northwest India will also subside from tomorrow. Other affected states include Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh and Rajasthan. Meanwhile, Europe registered its hottest March ever, with temperatures at historic highs. And the world saw the second hottest March in the Copernicus data set, sustaining a near unbroken spell of records that has persisted since July 2023. With the ongoing heat wave, people have been advised to stay hydrated, avoid direct sunlight during peak hours, and stay informed through official weather updates. This is Jyotsna.
The death toll has climbed to at least 98 after the roof of a nightclub in the Dominican Republic collapsed in the early hours of Tuesday. The Jet Set nightclub in Santo Domingo was hosting a merengue concert attended by politicians and athletes when the roof of the one-story building caved in and fell onto the busy dance floor. Popular Dominican singer Ruby Perez, who was performing on stage during the incident, has also been confirmed dead. Around 160 people were injured. While rescue crews were still searching for survivors in the rubble, crowds anxiously gathered at the venue to hear news from missing family members. Many people were also waiting at the Institute of Forensic Science to identify bodies. The Dominican authorities have not yet commented on the incident, although an investigation into the causes of the roof collapse is expected.
We're making a fortune with tariffs, $2 billion a day. Do you believe it? I was told $2 billion a day. You know, I get hit by the press about tariffs. We're making $2 billion. This isn't 35 million, that's peanuts. $2 billion a day. And I really think we're helped a lot by the tariff situation that's going on, which is a good situation, not a bad. It's great. It's going to be legendary. You watch, legendary in a positive way, I have to say. It's going to be legendary. But I really think it actually puts pressure on those few Republicans that just can't get there. Right now, China's paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping. That's okay. We're going to make our country even stronger than it ever was. I think
we're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel yet, because following the announcement of the 104% tariffs on Chinese goods, Trump announced that he will very soon levy tariffs on imported pharmaceutical goods. For China, I think if China retaliates in the same extent, it may imply that imported goods will, the prices of imported goods will also go up and cause inflation to rise in China, and that would not be in favor to the consumers, Chinese consumers. We are expecting more roller coaster markets in the next few days, especially with the expectation of more tariffs on other, say for instance, pharmaceutical goods and semiconductors are yet to be announced by Trump.
Let's return to our breaking news now, where China has announced 84% tariffs on American goods coming into China. Our East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood joins us now for more on this story. Kathleen, hello there. Now, what is the latest you've heard of these tariffs that have been announced by China?
Well, Garish, we've been waiting to see if there would be any more action by Beijing all day, really. Of course, the American tariffs came into effect today, in total 84% on Chinese goods, which brings the entire amount of tariffs that Donald Trump has brought in since his inauguration up to 104% on Chinese goods. So Beijing certainly signalling yesterday and again today that they would be standing strong. Mr. Trump had added this extra 50% in retaliation to Beijing's announcement on the weekend that it would be adding 34% tariffs of its own onto American goods coming into China starting tomorrow. He added this 50%, said that if China didn't reverse that decision, he would be going ahead with what ended up being 84% in total. Now we've just had this breaking news from delivered through Chinese state media that China will again be matching that figure that the US has put on its goods. So now 84% tariffs on American goods going into China starting tomorrow.
Kathleen, no one seems to have seen this coming, at least as of yesterday and earlier today. So how much of a surprise was this for everyone?
Look, I think it is something of a surprise, but certainly Beijing did seem to have started to make this sort of turn towards putting a really strong posture towards the American approach as of the weekend. We had seen some measured responses in regards to to Donald Trump's earlier tariff announcement. So the original 2 rounds of 10% tariffs a few weeks ago. We'd seen, some specific targeted tariffs and measures against certain American products, agricultural products, things like that, really, which seemed quite political, quite calculated, really trying to get to Donald Trump and the Republican Party's rural base. But now it does seem like Beijing has just decided that they're going to meet Donald Trump's strong posture with its own. It does, I think people will be a little bit surprised that it has once again upped the ante after Donald Trump reacted so angrily. There were reports that members of the top Chinese leadership might meet today to discuss their response to Donald Trump's and his administration's behaviour. So perhaps this is an outcome of that. But, perhaps they were also buoyed somehow, despite all the turmoil on the stock markets. The Shanghai index and the Hang Seng index in Hong Kong managed to finish just a little bit up at the end of the day. So perhaps they were buoyed by the strength of the Chinese markets, even after a tumultuous few days, compared to some of the Asian markets and even the Australian market.
Okay, East Asia correspondent Kathleen Caldwell, thank you very much for that update.
The Middle East stands on a knife's edge as the U.S. and Iran gear up for critical negotiations in Oman this weekend amid military posturing hardening both by Israel and Iran. Our next story takes a look at the evolving situation and the high stakes involved.
The Persian Gulf is a tinderbox. The U.S. has deployed 2 aircraft carrier strike groups, B-2 stealth bombers to Diego Garcia, and advanced air defense squadrons across West Asia. Iran, in turn, has put its army on high alert. It has activated its over-the-horizon radar systems and fortified missile positions along the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, has declared the nation's nuclear program non-negotiable, dismissing U.S. calls to dismantle facilities. Senior officials argue, how can Tehran disarm when Israel has nuclear warheads? Washington is sticking to its stance.
This is a dynamic where the president has made very clear, and certainly the secretary has made very clear, that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. It's just that I think is the focus right now, the nature of what's happened and Iran's current situation.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, back from Washington, demands a Libya-style dismantling of Iran's nuclear infrastructure.
We agree that Iran will not have nuclear weapons. This can be done in an agreement, but only if this agreement is a Libya-style agreement. That they go in, blow up the facilities, dismantle all the equipment under American supervision and American execution. That would be good.
In response, Tehran cautions the U.S. against considering military action, stating that the country will not accept threats or coercion.
Our main goal in these talks is obviously to secure the rights of the Iranian people and to get the sanctions lifted. If the other side genuinely wants to work things out, I believe that goal is within reach. It really doesn't matter whether the talks are direct or indirect. Right now, we prefer to keep them indirect.
Complicating the matters further, recent U.S. intelligence reports suggest that Iran has assembled a team of scientists who are exploring a faster, if cruder, approach to developing a nuclear weapon, potentially achieving capability within months if the decision is made. Iranian officials assert that such disarmament is implausible, especially when regional adversaries like Israel possess nuclear arsenals. This defiance reflects Tehran's commitment to maintaining its defense capabilities amidst perceived external threats. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The Pentagon has deployed 6 B-2 stealth bombers to the Indian Ocean in what defense analysts are calling the largest forward deployment of its kind. The move places America's most advanced long-range bombers within striking distance of Iran as tensions escalate over Tehran's nuclear program. Commercial satellite imagery confirmed by Hans Christensen, director of the Nuclear Information Project of the Federation of American Scientists, shows the bombers parked in plain view on the tarmac at Naval Support Facility Diego Garcia. Independent journalist Ken Klippenstein shared the new imagery and details of the deployment, which also includes support aircraft and refueling tankers. At this time, none of these movements have been acknowledged by U.S. officials, but defense experts say the visibility is deliberate, a strategic message. The B-2s are capable of carrying both nuclear and bunker-busting weapons. Their range and stealth allow them to bypass air defenses and strike fortified targets, including Iran's underground missile sites. From Diego Garcia, the bombers can reach Tehran and return without refueling. 6 B-2s represent about 30% of the U.S. stealth bomber fleet. The Pentagon has also kept a second aircraft carrier strike group in the region and deployed A-10 ground attack aircraft and missile defense systems to Israel. President Trump confirmed that direct nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran will begin Saturday in Oman. He warned that if negotiations fail, it will be a very bad day for Iran. Despite the threats, President Trump says diplomacy remains his preferred path. Iran has rejected direct talks, but signaled a willingness to negotiate indirectly. Meantime, European allies face a deadline. By late July, Britain, France, and Germany must decide whether to reimpose UN sanctions suspended under the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. That decision becomes more urgent as Russia prepares to take over the presidency of the UN Security Council in October. Iran has warned it may withdraw from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty if sanctions return. The treaty allows international inspectors to monitor Iran's nuclear program and restricts efforts to build nuclear weapons. According to UN inspectors, Tehran already holds enough enriched uranium to build several nuclear weapons. Western officials cautioned that reduced transparency or inspection limits could increase the risk of conflict in the region. Israel continues to signal it may act alone if diplomacy fails. Iranian leaders insist their nuclear program is peaceful.
אנחנו מסכימים שלאיראן לא יהיה נשק גרעיני. זה יכול לעשות בהסכם, אבל רק אם ההסכם הזה הוא הסכם נוסח לוב, שנכנסים, מפוצצים את המתקנים, מפרקים את כל המכשורים, בפיקוח אמריקני, בביצוע אמריקני, זה טוב. אפשרות שנייה, שזה לא יהיה, שהם סתם יגררו את השיחות, ואז האופציה היא צבאית. כולם מבינים את זה, על כך דנו באריכות. וגם דיברנו על החזון של הנשיא טראמפ, כי אנחנו כרגע במגע עם מדינות שמדברות על האפשרות לקלוט הרבה מאוד עזתים. זה חשוב, כי בסוף זה מה שצריך להיות. הנושא השלישי, טורקיה. טורקיה רוצה להקים סוריה, בסיסים צבאיים, וזה סכנה לישראל. אנחנו מתנגדים לזה, פועלים נגד זה. אמרתי לנשיא טראמפ, שהוא ידיד שלי, גם ידיד של ארדואן, אם נצטרך את העזרה שלך, נדבר איתך על זה. הנשיא טראמפ ביקש מהמדינות להוריד את הגירעון הסחר שלהן מארצות הברית לאפס. אמרתי לו, זה לא כל כך קשה בשבילנו, נעשה את זה. זה המעט שאנחנו יכולים לעשות לארצות הברית ולנסיעה שעושים כל כך הרבה למעננו.